Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2 can salvage Missy's poor plot with this significant return, even though season 1 did not bring back one legendary young Sheldon supporting star. The idea behind Georgie and Mandy's first marriage is a complex one. Georgie and Mandy were happily married and raising their first child, Cece, together at the conclusion of young Sheldon's finale. However, it was already disclosed in the sibling realignment, episode 23 of season 11 of The Big Bang Theory, that the two finally split up. In order to keep viewers interested, young Sheldon's spin-off must explain why this potential marriage didn't work out. The sitcom situation is further exacerbated by Georgie and Mandy's first marriage's need to strike a balance between the return of its current cast members, who are beloved by young Sheldon fans, and the introduction of new characters. As the show creates way for its breakout star Connor, gives Georgie's mother Mary more screen time, and gives Mandy's parents, Audrey and Jim, larger roles, the Meemaw position on Georgie and Mandy's first marriage may already shrink in season 2. Meemaw received a lot of screen time and narrative attention in season 1 of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, since her sportsbook betting plot ultimately involved Mandy, Audrey, Jim, and Georgie. But the Missy narrative in Georgie and Mandy's first marriage was worse. Despite making multiple appearances during the first season of the Young Sheldon spinoff, Missy never received much sustained story attention. Missy's sole major part was in Two Idiots on a Dirt Bike, episode 17, where she attempted to flee with Beth's kid Todd. In episode 2, Some New York Nonsense, Missy was in trouble at school, and in episode 5, Thanksgiving, she went to Thanksgiving. But the only full-length episode of season 1 that focused on her experience was Two Idiots on a Dirt Bike, which largely repeated her previous teen rebellion plotlines from young Sheldon. In order to make up for this, Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2 should bring back a recurrent guest star who, in her brief cameos in the previous spinoff, brought out the best and the worst in Missy. Paige Swanson, played by McKenna Grace, was initially shown as Sheldon's early academic opponent, but quickly turned into his first crush and unexpected ally. Paige must return for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2 because her friendship with Missy had the biggest influence on the show. Before she was even 16, Paige acted out and got wasted at college parties because she was upset about being a child prodigy. Sheldon's sister quickly adopted this practice, and later on Paige and Missy took a multi-state joyride. Missy's Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2 story would be better with Paige back. The plot of season 1 of Missy's Lone Georgie and Mandy's first marriage concentrated on her romantic life. Viewers never found out what happened to Paige after Young Sheldon ended, despite the fact that she and Missy were good friends in season 6. There were 2 reasons this was unfortunate. First of all, Paige was a powerful counterpoint to Sheldon, and her storyline provided a melancholy glimpse of what Sheldon's life as a young genius may have been like had he been a bit less socially awkward. Second, Missy becomes a more nuanced character as a result of Paige's presence, which ultimately helps the disobedient teenager come out of her shell. Missy's friendship with Paige revealed more about her inner life, including her most rebellious and vulnerable aspects. Paige demonstrated that Missy was more than Sheldon's perpetually ignored twin sister. Much like Connor, the breakout star of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage, humanized Georgie and brought out his compassionate side. Viewers learned more about Missy's anxieties and dreams during the pair's abortive joyride. Given that Missy is the only Cooper child without a show of her own, this kind of reflection is long overdue and was a nice departure in a series that primarily concentrated on its titular character. A young Sheldon plot gap is solved by Paige's Georgie, and Mandy's first marriage season 2 return. Paige's destiny was left a mystery in Young Sheldon season 7. Practically speaking, Paige's return would fill in a significant storyline gap that Young Sheldon left unfixed. Even though Paige was a significant part of Sheldon's early years, Young Sheldon season 7 never gave an explanation for what happened to her or why he forgot about her. In fact, Sheldon never even brought up her name in The Big Bang Theory. The story of Connor and Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2 will probably take up a lot of the show's focus, but it should also explain why Sheldon forgot about this important person from his early years. If Paige's betrayal of Missy was so severe that the entire Cooper family shunned her and never spoke of her again, it would make sense. There are two plausible reasons for this young Sheldon plot hole. Either Paige betrayed Missy severely or she and Missy are still friends today. Both of these scenarios provide intriguing narrative points for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2. If Paige had deceived Missy so severely that the entire Cooper family shunned her and never spoke of her again, it would make sense in hindsight. This would also align with the pattern of Missy's recent spin-off plots, where Georgie is constantly putting out fires from her turbulent personal life. Season 2 of Georgie and Mandy's first marriage may solve a canon issue in Big Bang Theory. Paige was not mentioned by Sheldon in the original series. However, this would also explain why Sheldon never brought up Missy in The Big Bang Theory if Paige and Missy continue to be close friends into adulthood. Now that he lives somewhere else, Sheldon would consider Paige to be his sister's best friend if they stay friends. Given that Paige was obviously a destabilizing influence on Missy, who was already restless, this would also make for an interesting storyline for Georgie and Mandy's first marriage season 2. Maintaining Paige as Missy's best friend would encourage Missy to cause Georgie even more trouble.